So, hi, how you doing? Some terrible news. As I sit here right now, in my country, Kenya, the virus has gotten here, so people are freaking out, people are scared, and guess what? 5 minutes from, I've just signed up, and right in there, I have some guests who are coming from Cambridge, and they flew in yesterday or something, and yeah. So that's the reality, and I've also met people who've been across the country and across the world and all that stuff. And the truth is, am I worried? Yeah, a bit. Am I scared? Not at all. Not at all. Because it's sad that this virus is here, and it's very sad that it's affecting a lot of people. I have family in Italy, and I have friends in China, and most of these places that have been affected, in the States and all these places. And when you sit here and you think about that for a second, it's really scary. And people have lost their lives, and they didn't have to. I mean, it's 2020, and it's insane that we're losing life like this. But it's a condition it's the reality that we have to live with, and there's a lot of people who are going to be affected, and there's some precautions we can take. I'm not a doctor. I studied applied biology, and I studied industrial microbiology in college, and we studied pathogens and how they get started, or how they start, how they transmit from one person to another, and how they are stopped. I feel like we've reached a peak where this thing can be handled, because number one, the number one thing with pathogens is to identify them. So now it's been identified. This is what's causing the condition. Number two is to quarantine the people and find a vaccine for it. So we're at the point where we're quarantining people. Countries that are going on lockdown, people are getting identified. And one thing that makes me very inspired here is, this is a sad situation. It's a horrible situation in the sense people are losing lives. That's a real thing. But one thing that encourages me is, there are things that we struggle with as a country, as a people. But then there's one thing that I like that I don't think most people give it credit. The Kenyan health sector might seem broken, and in certain ways it is broken. But one thing I like is the data collection. I mean, say what you will, but about what happens to the data itself. But we go to the farthest clinic in the world, to the farthest clinic in the country, and starting 5 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that, you'll see the data. There's a board out there, and it says the number of people treated for this condition, that condition, number of births, number of deaths, all these things. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've traveled across the country. I've been to Marsabit, to Moyale, I've been to Kirinyaga, I've been to Kiambu and those kind of places, and Kisumu and Siaya and Busia. All these places, this stuff might not be out in the public, but they collect data. Now, should they be doing more with the data? Yes, of course. But they collect data, and that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. They should use the data a little bit more. In fact, not even that. I feel like the government, health sector, public health sector really should start telling people about some of these things they do openly. There should be an open policy where they say, you can go, and not on the website, just like public services announcements. Because, for example, the reason why we have great data collection and pandemic kind of response, we might not have all the devices, but I feel like we have the system, and because of the previous pandemic, we had 12 centers. Last time I checked, they were reduced to 6. But in terms of data collection, because of the other programs that we've had, the malaria program, the HIV programs, the maternal programs, newborn programs, because in this country every newborn is registered, and or at least people know about it. And if most births are done in hospitals, I mean there was a movement I think 5 years ago where there was home birthing and that kind of thing, but most births are done in hospital, and those are all registered, and that goes into a data bank. That's how you get a birth certificate. All the deaths are registered, so you get a death certificate. You can't bury without a death certificate. Now, that might not seem like an important thing, but for a country like ours, it's a growing economy. It's not a developed economy yet, but it's not a poor economy either. So it's in between there. For us to have that system, that's a great system. That's an awesome system. And appreciating small things like that, great. Now, I'm not here because there are some people who sit and say, oh, you're talking on behalf of this interest of that. No, it's just the facts. We have a system that collects a lot of information. Another thing is security. They collect a lot of information. They might not react to it all the time, but I'd want now the current government and the people in those kind of situations to come out here and tell us some of the, the way the Americans and the Europeans do it, where they say we stopped this kind of number of attacks. We secured this part. We did this and this. We caught this number of bugs. Every month they say they give us a status report or something. I don't know. That will help our citizenship because our citizens. Because right now there's a lot of hysteria. People are going crazy. I mean, you should be worried, but you should not have hysteria. You should not go crazy and go like, oh my goodness, whatever. You should not fear. Because there's a lot of people. Oh, and another thing also that really inspires me is, I don't know if you travel to any country in the world, but try to travel any place in the world and go to some of the best schools. You'll find a Kenyan there. There are Kenyans everywhere teaching in all these institutions. And those are the ones who left to get greener pastures. And some of them are now held up with this situation. But then the beauty is, because we've been to all those countries, some of us have come back. And some of the brains that are working in the Kenyan medical institutions, in whatever professional institutions, are awesome, are brilliant people. So if you have passionate people and brilliant people working on this, and we have systems, they are not perfect, and there's a lot to be desired. But first, let's just admit there's a system. There are systems that are working. I mean, have you ever seen a situation where you find something has happened and then a report comes out and say, oh yeah, those people started here, went here, whatever it is, and people say, oh, that was just tracking. No, it's intelligence. And it's so good or bad. I mean, you could say anything about this. There's the good, there's the bad. But the first thing is, let's stop the hysteria. And we have to also love each other. We can't be like, because now this is a Kenyan who's been infected, and the family is going to be affected, and the rest of the community, we have to come together and support each other. And not because of being patriotic, but because we're Kenyans, because we're human beings. Let's support each other, because there's a lot of Kenyans out there in the world. We're doing all this stuff. And yeah, that's where we are. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name is Daniel Duwa. Let's keep the good work going. Let's put a prayer for the souls that have been lost. And let's also support even people who are on containment right now, even people who are struggling right now, even families are struggling. Let's support each other, because this is just one of the many pandemics that have been here, and there'll be more. But every pandemic, we learn to be better. We learn things. One last one. There is a reason why in this country we haven't had pandemics of this nature. And it's not accidental. It's not faith. It's not luck. Somebody somewhere is doing something right. Even in a broken system, even in all these things that we can complain, There are people who are doing their jobs, and let's appreciate that, you know. And let's also appreciate people who stand up and say, listen, this is not right. Let's appreciate that. I feel like that's something we need to do. I know this is a kind of different video I'm doing right now here, but I feel like that's important. And also, we need to be vigilant. There's a lot of information out there. Let's get out there and get the right information. Don't get caught up in the chain of all this crazy information that's out there. Let's take care of each other. Let's love each other, and also let's get the information on the right places. I'm going to try link down or put up some of the places you can get relevant information, credible information, and also tips on how to stay safe and those kind of things. I don't know what else you want me to put up. I'm not a doctor, but I'm around doctors all the time, and also I'm around policymakers and whatever it is. Yesterday we had just a team from Turkey coming to visit, and they've been all over the world. Kenyans are traveling all over the place. So yeah, as much as there's a lockdown, the airport is still open. So until we're told otherwise, I think we are running country. So let's stop the hysteria. Let's take care. Let's not worry too much, but take care. The general thinking is there are ways you can stay safe, but if you're not, there is containment and all that, and information is going to be updated by the day, by the minute, by the second. That's a good thing. And let's support each other. Affected, infected, we all human beings. Let's reach out. My name is Daniel Duwa. On this not very high note, thanks for watching.
The cover is falling. Lock is not working.